my whole New York City journey since I've moved here has been about learning how to be independent and learning how to rely on myself. When it comes to moving in together as a couple, most people imagine this whole like fairy tale thing, but I think there are some really real things that I feel like when I had to give up my apartment that was just mine, like my safe space, it was kind of scary. And I will say the first couple of months was an adjustment period because I felt like, you know, I lost like my safe space. I would learn that that is not the case. Sometimes in order to make space for something better, you have to kind of be vulnerable. If you're looking to move to New York City, or you're curious about apartment hunting here, or you just want to, I don't know, see some New York City apartments, this video is for you. I'm a full-time content creator here in New York City, and I moved here about 5 years ago, and apartment hunting in New York City is a completely different beast. I was so intimidated by the whole process in the beginning because I'm also not from America, so there was like a lot of paperwork and stuff involved, and I'll definitely walk you through everything you'll need at the end of this video. In this whole apartment hunting video, you'll see my boyfriend. We decided to move in together, and this is our, I guess, journey of apartment hunting together as a couple. This was actually filmed over a year ago, and I needed some time to kind of like process what it's like to live with a partner. When we were apartment hunting, we knew we wanted to be downtown, so there was only like a few areas we were looking at. SoHo, East Village, West Village, Lower East Side, Two Bridges, Financial District, and like Tribeca. We were looking for 2 bedrooms because I work from home. We both have a lot of clothes, and we just wanted to make sure that we had enough room for the 2 of us, which I know it's such a luxury considering that like I'm very aware of that, because my first apartment in New York City was a 4th or 5th floor walk up, and sometimes I still can't believe the beautiful apartment I now live in. I'm just so grateful. Anyway, to get back into it, a website I highly recommend is Streeteasy. I feel like that's what most people use in New York City, and you have the option of selecting like no fee apartment, and that means that you won't have to pay a broker fee. And what a broker fee is essentially when a real estate agent charges a commission for showing you the apartment, and I think this is a pretty unique fee to New York City. It can be 1 month of rent to 2 to 3 months of rent. It just really depends. I did get a broker this time around, but I thought that that would give me access to apartments that weren't listed online, but that wasn't my experience. Also, I recommend apartment hunting in the winter time if you can, because prices are usually a little bit better. In the summertime, it's just so chaotic. When it comes to apartment hunting, there are a few things to keep in mind. One, your lifestyle. Like, do you like to be in the middle of, you know, everything? Do you want a very walkable area? How close do you want to be to public transportation? I take the train all the time, so that was pretty important for me. And also amenities, like, do you want a place with a doorman, with a gym, with things like that? Is there an elevator? Because my first couple of apartments in New York City did not have an elevator. Oh, if there's an in-unit washer and dryer. My first couple of apartments didn't either, and you know, like I had to send my laundry out. If you're curious about how apartments in New York City look, what areas are good, we'll touch on that. The first apartment we viewed was in SoHo, and this apartment had beautiful high ceilings, and it was a 1 bedroom. The apartment itself was actually pretty dark too, and the bathroom was also a little outdated, even though it had, you know, some storage. I think my favorite part of this apartment is the rooftop. It had an amazing view of Manhattan, but we reminded ourselves that, you know, we're not realistically gonna spend that much time on the roof. Like, the apartment itself is more important, and we pretty much knew in our heart that this was probably not the best fit. But with that said, it was in a really good location. Like, I would be able to walk everywhere. The second apartment was completely unexpected. I had seen the photos online, but I didn't think it was something I would like because there was just something in the photos that didn't do it justice. But then when I walked in, I was like, oh shit. It's downtown and it was a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and the kitchen is just, it was so stunning. And it's just like a classic New York apartment. You know, we're living in New York City, so we really wanted a apartment that captured that character. And this was also in a very walkable, like amazing location. I'm not gonna say where this is because if you don't already know, this is the apartment I'm currently living in. Okay, so the third apartment we viewed was in the East Village, and this was actually a penthouse apartment, and it had wrapped around like balcony, like just the most insane view. Like we didn't think that we would see, you know, like a better view after the rooftop on apartment 1, but this was a private rooftop, and there was like double sinks, and the bathroom was beautiful, but it didn't have a lot of storage, and it felt like a huge apartment because of the windows and because of the wraparound like outdoor space. But realistically, we're not gonna be spending that much time outside, and with, you know, we live in New York City, we're not in California. Like we have pretty rough winters, and I also really wanted to be able to fit, you know, like a dining table, because the past couple of years I've just been eating off a coffee table or like kitchen counter. I've just been like standing and like eating my meals. So I really like the idea of us, you know, like creating a home and having somewhere we could sit down and have our meal. And with this space, it didn't feel like we would have had the space for it. The fourth apartment we viewed was also in the area, and it's actually right off, I should know this, now I've lived in New York for so long, but I'm really bad at geography. It was off one of the bridges. The building was beautiful. It was fully renovated. I don't know if anyone had ever lived in there before, but it was so loud. Like even in the building, you could hear just like the amount of traffic that was outside, and it honestly just gave me a lot of anxiety being in there, and that was just not the right fit. For my anxiety, I could not meditate. What did you say you want? That. One day.
You have 1 or 2 floors, and then it comes up here, and then you have your outdoor table. That's a beer pong table for sure.
Oh.
And then
sick. That's where I want to live. Oh look, you changed your clothes. The next apartment is also in SoHo, but it's kind of like towards the edge of SoHo. It was on a main street. The windows were not soundproof, so we could hear everything as well. I mean, noise really is a big issue in New York City because it's just so busy. And yeah, like I didn't like the idea of living on like one of the busiest streets in New York City. And the whole apartment was also really dark, even though we viewed it during the daytime. We needed to turn like all the lights on, and the finishes in the bathroom was also not renovated. And it ultimately didn't feel like the best fit for us. The next apartment we viewed was in Tribeca, which is a really desirable area for couples because the streets are just cleaner, the buildings are a little more spacious, and it's more like family friendly, and it's very walkable. So we didn't get to view the apartment we had seen online. This is something that also happens a lot. They will like list an apartment and put pictures, but when you show up, like people will be like, oh, actually that one's not available, we're gonna show you this one instead. So that's kind of what happened with this. And the layout was just a lot smaller than we expected, even though there was a cat in the apartment who was so cute, and I was like, oh my god, you know, like I could see us living here with a cat or a dog. But it was a nice neighborhood though, and also very walkable to SoHo and places like that. This building does have a doorman, I'm pretty sure, and it does have a gym, which, you know, was definitely a selling point, but ultimately we decided against it. Okay, so let's go back to the list of things that you'll need when you apartment hunt. So go on Streeteasy a couple months before, just to get a sense of like what prices are and things like that. And before you like go in and view them in person, like I have all these things ready. Number one, my income, you need to make 40 or 45 times the annual rent. So if your rent is like $2,000 a month, you have to make 40 times that annually. And that's just a way that, you know, landlords protect themselves here. And if you don't, you can get a guarantor. So somebody like your parents or, you know, someone, or in some cases, some buildings do allow like websites where you, like a renter's insurance website, but they can also be your guarantor. Next, I think your tax return and your driver's license or ID, like photocopy, like scan. The next thing you'll need is, not all landlords ask for this, but because it's so competitive, I always have recommendation letters from my landlords, my previous landlords, just to show that, you know, I'm a good tenant and I'm a desirable like candidate. Your landlord might also ask for receipts of your like previous rental payments, but I think if you have a recommendation letter, they're not gonna ask for that. And also with this apartment, they did ask for, you know, like a summary of how much assets you have in terms of savings and things like that. So I did have to provide that, and of course your social security number, just so they can do a background check to make sure that you're not like a criminal, and things like that. Yeah. I will say having movers really took so much off my plate, because during my move, I actually did a interview with Wall Street Journal. So they were there interviewing me on a story on influencers in New York City, moving companies and things like that. So we did a pretty incredible story on that with this moving company, Roadway, who I love. I've moved with them every single year. And we also had a photographer there. So yeah, it was like kind of a crazy day. Moving out of my own apartment was actually a really emotional process. Like, it was more emotional than I expected it to be. If you don't know, I'm originally from Singapore, and I felt like I was giving up like my only safe space, because it's not like, you know, if my boyfriend and I got into a fight, I could go like run home, you know, like it felt like a very adult move that I was doing, where I was like committing to building a relationship with this man, which was something that, you know, we were both ready for, because we had been dating for over 2 years at that point. But I think it just felt very real, very scary, and I was definitely in pretty codependent relationships prior to my move to New York. And so when I moved here, I really made sure that I got really strong, really independent. And I think it felt scary to kind of like let some of that go, that independence. But I think sometimes in order to make space for something better, you have to kind of be vulnerable. And it has worked out so well for us, because we've just renewed our lease. But in the beginning it was scary. And I did take the time to, you know, say goodbye to my apartment. When we moved into this apartment, I'm kind of a hippie that way, where I'll like talk to an apartment. I was like, you know, like, I'm so excited to live here. Thank you for putting a roof over my head, and, you know, like things like that. And I bid goodbye to my old apartment, where I was like, thank you, everything you've provided me and all the experience I got to have there. I hope this is helpful, and I hope that I'm making sense, because truthfully I haven't done a lot of sit down talking videos, so I apologize if this is a little all over the place, but I'm really excited to do more long form content. And if you found this video helpful, please subscribe. And if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comment section down below, and I'll answer them. I know apartment hunting in New York City is so scary, but if you take it step by step, you will get there. It's something that will get easier every year. If you're still here, thank you for staying with me, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!